Marathon Stadium in Newcastle is the venue for this round 21 clash in the National Rugby League. It's the Newcastle Knights taking on the Canberra Raiders. Let's take a look at the two teams in this game. You'll see one change for the Newcastle Knights in their forward pack. 21-year-old John Morris comes into the side at hooker for the injured Danny Medeiros, who will be out with a leg injury for the next couple of weeks. And their coach is Michael Hagan. For the Canberra Raiders, they have a couple of changes. Ken Nagus is out of the team, and that moves Sione Faumuina from the second row back to the centres. Terry Martin comes off the bench to take that place in the second row, and the new bench player is Jared Lawrence. Their coaches are Mal Meninga and Matt Elliott. Our referee this afternoon, the man in the middle, is Tim Mander. The Raiders have only been refereed a couple of times by Tim Mander and come out with the 2 competition points on both occasions. They'll be hoping to make it 3 from 3 here this afternoon. They will run into this very strong wind in the first half. And Andrew Johns, you would think, during this first 40 minutes will make the most of the gale at his back. Oh, they've made a mistake from the kickoff. A chance from the Raiders. Grief put it down off the pass from Rudder. They're just 5 metres away. Finch, it comes to Colella. He's swamped by a trio of Raiders there. What a start. Wolford comes away to Ryan O'Hara. He'll play it just metres away. DeVico now. They bypass him. To Brett Finch they come. Tries to spin away in the tackle there of John Morris.
Hold the line. Mark a square.
To the left-hand side, Wolford. McFadden cutting back across the ruck. Taken there by Parsons. Still a chance for them. Shafovsky now. He gives it off to Colella. Will get across the line, but will be held up. And Tim Mander wants a look.
Check that, Peter. I've got a feeling he might have got it down. There's a 4th tackle too, mate.
Tim Mander's certainly a little more confident than I am up here in the commentary box. It didn't appear as though Colella got the ball down, but Tim Mander's got a feeling he may have.
Well, it's an unusual start to the game. Grief dropping the ball off the kickoff, allowing the Raiders to have the first set of 6. Colella charges the ball down. That's a try. He's got the ball down. Tim Mander seemed convinced, and I'm sure the video referee will do the same thing.
Very confident. Clinton Shafovsky is standing by, waiting to take the shot at goal. Here is Peter Filmer with the decision. It would seem a pretty clear-cut one. There it is, a try to the Canberra Raiders. And at last, for the first time in 4 matches, they've scored a point in the first half of the game. They lead the Knights 4-0.
Well, if they're any chance of winning, Warren, they really had to get on the board first and have a better start to what they've had in the past 3 weeks. You can see Shafovsky getting great distance off the kickoff. The ball going to Rudder. Rudder just simply passes the ball to Grief. Grief kept running, didn't show any enthusiasm to try and get back on the football. Then it was just an easy cross from Wolford to McFadden, got halfway through. Then a quick play the ball. That was the key. Shafovsky got out of there, picked up the straight runner in Colella, and Colella puts it down next to the post, and that was the start the Raiders were looking for.
The try came after just 56 seconds, the fastest try this year, if you rule out the Origin series, of course. But as far as the National Rugby League goes, no team has scored sooner this year. Shafovsky from just beside the post, a simple attempt, and he makes it 6-0 to the Raiders. I mentioned the first time they scored in the first half in their last 3 games. Last week they were down 22-0 to the Tigers. The week before that, at halftime against Parramatta, it was 32-0. The week before that, it was 34-0 at halftime to the Dragons. They might have broken the run right here. They need to go on with it though. A dream start for them. Odell Manuel takes it up towards the 30-metre line. Play it back to Wolford. From Finch, comes back to O'Hara. Colella, try scorer, hits it up, hits it almost back to the halfway line. Good set of 6 for them. McFadden now comes away to DeVico, spins away from the tackle there of Billy Peden. And they'll come to the right-hand side. The kick from dummy half from Wolford. It's due to miss this game, and then perhaps a couple more with medial ligament damage, but he's been past fit to play, and no sign of the injury that he sustained last week against the Tigers. Ryder. So just outside the 20 for the Newcastle Knights. Parsons tracks across field, picked off from marker. A good tackle down low by O'Hara. Morris, as we said, the birthday boy, 21 years of age today. Grief hangs on to this one. Awful start for him. The mistake was bad enough from the kickoff. It was compounded when they scored through Kalila. Johns drives it low, taken off the boot by Greg Wolfgram. Here come midfield. Very composed start from the Raiders. Terry Martin starting in the second row with Falmawina moving to the centres for Ken Nagas. Here's Wolford doing well and offloading as well. Comes back to Terry Martin. Once again, the Raiders already at the halfway line.
We just get the feeling that the Raiders are playing some great football. They're going forward. They're trying to work the Knights out in the middle of the park. The Knights have probably come out here expecting to win, expecting the Raiders to fall over pretty easy, but they're certainly showing a lot of enthusiasm early in the game.
Wolford put the grubber through. Davis handled it comfortably enough. Gidley. The sun breaks through at Marathon Stadium. The torrential rain we had just a few moments ago, as you saw. We were on camera before the kickoff. It was incredible, and what a turnaround we've got now. No rain, in fact, bright skies above. They may not last too long though. Here's Kennedy. Slips a pass away. It comes back to Morris, and they'll play it on the last. Johns at close hand at first receiver. Kick across field this time. In fact, the spiral bomb, it will travel a long way through the air courtesy of the gale force breeze, and in fact in the end lucky not to go over the dead ball line on the full.
Well, John's got one of the best kicking games in the business, and I'm certainly sure that the back three for the Raiders can expect a difficult day. He is the best in the business. That time he had a bit too much on it and it went dead.
The Knights, 5 missed tackles already. Allenton playing it lock forward this week. Comes back to Wolford. Turns it on the inside for DeVico. Shafovsky likes to get to dummy half. It's become a trend for fullbacks. Brett Hodgson does it so well for Parramatta. From inside their own half, early in the tackle count. Tuck driven backwards in a strong tackle by Andrew Johns. Now Wolford comes to Finch on the last tackle. He drives it along the ground, trying to keep it under the breeze. Set up nicely though for O'Davis. Good chase though from the Raiders. Falmawina is there to stop him just outside the Newcastle 20. Alberts. He plays it. It comes back to Morris. Simpson. Michael Hagan during the week. Simpson, he feels, one of the most underrated players, the Newcastle Knights. Doesn't get too many raps, but he loves what he does in defence and also in attack. Johns working it down the short side to Gidley, who almost got the arms free. Rudder was there, but he couldn't get the pass to him. Here's Johns again. Crossfield kick this time. Taking it or not taking it. In fact, putting it down was Joel Monaghan. McDougall, who scored 4 last week, picked it up. It comes back to Parsons. 6 more tackles for the Newcastle Knights.
I thought he was taken out of play there, Warren. Joel Monaghan.
It was a close run thing, no doubt about it. They were right on his hammer as the ball came down. Ryder plays it back to Grief. To Johns. Steps off the right foot. DeVico couldn't pick him up. Too easy for Joey. And they've replied by scoring under the black dots. 6-4, the Canberra Raiders lead. It's about to be 6-6.
It was just great work by Andrew Johns, putting up the bomb. I thought the Monaghan might have been tackled before he actually competed for the football. Well, he did get a bit of interference, a bit of a push there from McDougall. They got the lucky bounce the referee saw fit. And then it was second phase play. Parsons goes down, gets up, Ryder from dummy half. Johns just taking the ball to the line off the right foot, going in between. I think it was DeVico and O'Hara, the front rowers. That's not a good sign for the Raiders.
Johns from right in front. That's the extras. 6 points each. We've had 8.5 minutes here in the first half. Shafovsky. Another bad kickoff into this breeze. 50 metres on the fly as Grief brings it back out. A little bit of a Bronx cheer from the Newcastle fans as he hung on to that one.
You came over the top. He was tackled.
Brett Finch penalised for coming in, the second man into the tackle, trying to slow the ball down, and Andrew Johns, a great kick. They'll tap it now from outside their own 50. A little bit hardly done by the Raiders. And you look at that replay. Here's Parsons though. He's up to the Raiders 30. Important for Canberra. They hang on here. Johns comes back to Simpson. Options left and right. They wrap quickly to the left-hand side. Johns puts the grubber in. It came off the feet of Finch and lobbed into the lap of Monahan. Trying to put the early grubber in. Support players racing up outside him. McDougall looking to keep his trying scoring streak going. Here's O'Hara. The ground heavily by Parsons. Kallela. Turned it back for Alan Tongue, but there was nowhere for him to go. DeVico now.
Never square. Never square.
John Morris, the marker, penalised. Never square at the play of the ball, according to Tim Mander. Shafovsky will find the line. So they've done well, even at this stage, the Canberra Raiders, you have to say. Consider what's happened in the last few weeks, as we pointed out. The big scorelines they've had racked up against them in the first half. Even to get to this stage at 6 points each is something of a minor victory for them.
Well, it is a minor victory, Warren, but we've got to remember a couple of weeks ago, the Knights were up here at Marathon playing the Melbourne Storm. For 35 minutes, the Storm were very competitive. It was 6-all. And then in the space of 5 minutes, the brilliant Andrew Johns as Finch.
Speaking of brilliance, got a pass away to McFadden. He'll get across the line. Now, did he get it down?
Check these today. And just make sure he hasn't hit the ground as he slid over. It's on the tackle.
If he didn't get it down, it will be held up in goal, and the Raiders, at the very least, will get the ball back. But a lovely piece of work by Finch to make the initial bust, to put McFadden in the clear. Rolled onto his back, the ball in contact with the ground before he got to the line, but then I think they held him up.
I think you're right, Warren. I think great work by Darren Albert and Matt Gidley. Gidley went low. Albert coming over the top, had great awareness to go for the football, try and stop it from going down. Rolling him over. You see there, McFadden lands on his right. Albert comes in, rolls him over, holds the ball up. That'll be a no try. It'll be a play the ball to the Raiders.
Peter Filmer once again called into action early on here at Marathon. Comes back to a ref's call, and that will be held up according to Tim Mander. And it will be a scrum, but the Raiders will get it with 6 more tackles to come.
I'm not quite so sure with the ref's call. I don't think it was a try. I thought the video ref could have made that decision quite easily there, but they've elected to give the Raiders another set of 6. I thought the Raiders might have had to play the ball for the 3rd tackle.
Stand up!
Here's Shafovsky playing it back to Finch. Wolfbrand takes them on. Ran straight to Glenn Grief. Here's Wolfen now. DeVico running at them again. Grief was up to the task. Wolfbrand. Now Martin, a chance for the Raiders here on the right-hand side. He just can't get it away. Both Monahan and Manuel are outside him waiting for it. Here's O'Hara. He juggled as he came to the line. They stop him about 3 metres away. Wolford wants a fast play the ball. Comes to Finch. This time grubbering. He wants it to sit down. It might be too big. In fact, no, Albert had to play at it. Well-weighted kick by Finch. The Breeze just stopping it, and they'll get 6 more tackles.
Well, it needed to be a well-weighted kick because there was no chasers from the Raiders. Finch putting the ball through. The Raiders' attackers were fairly deep. I think they were expecting the ball to go out wide. Then Finch just puts it in behind the line. It had to sit up. Albert was wishing it to go over. In the end, he had to play at it. The Raiders get another set of 6.
Johns once again get us back underway. Probably I'll drop out. It comes down to Joel Monahan. Had some nifty footwork himself last week to kick a ball that was going over the touchline back into play, which led to a Brett Finch try. Manuel, he'll play it. 26 out from the Newcastle line. Wolford dummying. Came to McFadden, who did well to hang on to it in the end. Kallela. Finch wrapped up around the net by Rudder. Now it comes back to O'Hara. He takes it within 8 metres of the Newcastle line. Still a couple of tackles in this set of 6 for them. McFadden at first receiver, turns it back on the inside. Comes to DeVico and he's tackled there. In fact, it was DeVico. Now McFadden again. A ball for Finch. He needs to keep it alive. He can't do so. And that will be the turnover. Good defence from Newcastle.
It was great work by Newcastle. And the Raiders, they elected to run the ball on the last tackle. Similar result to try and put a kick through. They first tackle, the Knights have to work it out from their corner. They can only go one way, that's infield. The Raiders really got to muscle up here in this set of 6. Make the Knights force the Knights to kick the ball deep.
The thing about the Knights' defence there on their own line is that they didn't panic. They numbered up correctly. They slid when they had to, and the majority of the times they come up and got in amongst them. And that last effort there, when the Raiders decided to run the ball on the last, was Adam McDougall. Read the play magnificently, come up with the try saver.
Good charge down from the Raiders. A mistake from Andrew Johns trying to bite off too much on the kick, and the Raiders dived on it. Now DeVico.
I've got to say, Warren, for the conditions, both sides are handling it very well. Very slippery out there. The ball's hard to handle. It's Shafoski slides halfway through. The completion rate of both sides has been excellent. There's been some second phase play.
Wolford comes to DeVico. He's just 5 metres away. They put it down here.
Never back. You blokes never came back. Never came back.
See if they take the quick tap.
Here's the mark. 2 points.
Good as again. DeVico taking it to the line. There's the knock on. Mander said knock back, in fact. Found that the Newcastle Knights were offside.
He was obviously playing the advantage there because he did rule the knock on, but then said that they were offside, so obviously playing the advantage, and the Raiders weren't able to accept that.
Here he is again. No Breeze to contend with that time. In fact, a good kick from Shafoski. And the Raiders, it's been a very good start from them. 17 minutes gone here at Marathon. They lead the Newcastle Knights 8-6. Early days, of course, but a much improved effort from what we've seen from them in the first couple of weeks. The kick from Andrew Johns. The kickoff is too big, out on the full. That gives you some indication as to how strong this Breeze is. Joey is blowing up, but, well, those magic silver boots have lost a little bit of lustre here this afternoon.
Well, the idea was right. They could see that the Raiders hadn't got back too quickly. They went for the quick kick-off straight down the middle of the field, but as you say, unfortunately for the Knights and for Andrew Johns, a win just a little bit too strong.
Thought he might have caught them out. It wasn't too much difference between being a genius and being a chump, but unfortunately it was just a couple of metres too big. O'Hara. He's 35 out from this Newcastle line. Wolford comes through the hands of Finch at first receiver. McFadden outside him, turned inside out. He got past Sean Rudder. He's so close to getting it across. In fact, he did. He'll score. Oh, what a start this is to the Raiders. Terrific footwork from the halfback. He went straight past Sean Rudder, got across the line and put the ball down while he was on his backside, and what a scoreline we have.
Well, it come about by this, Joey Johns getting a little bit too much with the kickoff, putting the ball over on the full. The Raiders were found wanting there if it had stayed in field. They were struggling to get back. Then it was forfeit out to McFadden. Defence, sorry, then to McFadden. Then he done it all on his own. Past Rudder, past Morris, fends off. You can see him going. Davis comes. Albert does his best to try and pull him back, but he slams the ball down. That's a tremendous try.
Well, it certainly is, and very similar to what we saw McFadden do only 10 minutes ago, where he got tackled short of the line and slid by the same guy. Darren Albert tried to keep it up, and unfortunately for the Knights, McFadden was able to put the ball down on the right-hand side.
Shafosky put them out by more than a converted try. Tough one today from this position on the field, though. This gale still blowing from the south. The Brollies are up once again. The sunshine we had at kickoff has disappeared. Strikes it pretty well, though. Oh, what a kick that is! It didn't deviate an inch. He has drilled it over the black dot, and the Raiders lead the Knights. Do not adjust your set by 14 points to 6. Is this the same side we've seen in the last 3 weeks? What a kick this is. You wouldn't believe how hard it's blowing here. That was a tremendous kick. It sailed over the crossbar. DeVico.
And we're on an important time for the Raiders here. The last time they scored a try, they let the Knights come back and score within the next 2 or 3 minutes. They've got a good lead now, 14 points to 6. They can't afford to let the Knights come back with another try.
Kallela. It's up towards the 40. The Newcastle Knights make a couple of changes off their bench. Josh Perry coming into the game. There he is in 17, making the tackle on DeVico with the help there of Steve Simpson. McFadden, first receiver this time, kicking over the head of the charging Ben Kennedy. Looking for the touchline, he won't find it though. He'll sit down for O'Davis, but look at this enthusiasm in the Canberra chase line. There were 5 or 6 of them there right across the paddock. Oh, Alan Tongue was racing up out of the line. Justin Ryder got collared around the neck. Simon Wolford with the indiscretion on that occasion. Johns will find the line, pick up some easy metres. They'll tap it from out near their own 40, and there's the tackle. Wolford just around the neck region there of Justin Ryder. Alan Tongue, I think he didn't make contact. He went past him at mark 3. Billy Peter plays it back to Morris. Comes to Perry. Bounced off the shoulder there of O'Hara. He's 32 out. O'Davis takes his turn at first receiver. Through the hands of Rudder, away to Gidley. Tackled by McFadden. He got it on to Darren Albert. Here's Simpson again. He coughs it up. Some strong defence from the Raiders. They force the ball loose. Tongue cleans up for the Raiders. Everything going their way at the moment. Forcing mistakes. Johns has made a couple of mistakes himself with the boot. One from the kickoff, the charge down as well. Falmawina now, changing tack, hits it up through the middle of the ruck. To the Raiders, they've only failed to complete 1 set of 6 so far in this game. Robert Finch, it was reported in the papers this morning, had some strong words to say to the first grade squad during the week. Obviously those words from the football manager had the desired effect. Davis cleans up. The rain pours down again. It's coming in squalls and driven by this southerly. Tough for the Raiders to run into in this first half, but they're doing it very nicely. They lead 14-6. They're 16 out from half-time. Peter will play it short of the halfway line. Johns Spin it right again. A short pass to Simpson. Might have been some doubt about it. He's got plenty of options. He gives it back to Gidley and he will score. I still have my doubts about a pass back down the field, but Tim Mander says that's a try. 14-10. The Newcastle Knights have replied to the Andrew McFadden try.
Well, Brett Kenny mentioned it earlier about Raiders putting points on the board and the Knights hitting back straight away. Andrew Johns, just a simple ball to Sean Rudder. Short ball, found Mawina, didn't make the tackle, a one-on-one missed tackle. And Simpson galloped straight through, gave the ball on to Gidley. And you can see what a one-on-one missed tackle can create for your team.
It certainly does create some problems. That was a simple miss, but it was like a carbon copy of the start earlier on in the first half, where the Raiders put some points on the board and then give up a penalty from just after the kick-off, restart a play. The Knights got back into it. They've done exactly the same thing.
That was the most disappointing aspect of the Raiders last week, was their inability to affect their one-on-one tackles. Guys just running straight. You can cop getting beaten with skill, but I'm sure the coaching staff will be very disappointed with that effort.
Andrew Johns with the kick. It's good. It's back to a 2-point ball game. The Raiders 14 lead the Knights 12. We've got 15 left before the break. Danny Badeiras alongside Mark Hughes, of course. Mark Hughes concussed a couple of weeks ago, has been on the sidelines since, and then Danny Badeiras, of course, with a knee injury at the moment, still has the right leg in plaster. He won't be back next week either.
Well, there are a couple of quality players there sitting on the bench. And let's not forget Tamana Tahu, one of their most exciting young players. He is also out for another couple of weeks. So they've got some quality players on the sideline. They're missing them at this stage.
It's Perry who brings it back out. He's lost it, in fact, from the kick-off here. The Raiders have it. It's play on, says Tim Mander. Another mistake from the kick-off by Newcastle. They're second in the game. They take it forward, the Raiders, through Sean Rutchison. Wolford, a dummy half, bypasses Adam Peters, comes back to Jared Lawrence, just metres away from this Newcastle line, looking to respond to the Gidley try themselves. Peters stepping off the right foot, wrapped up by Kennedy. Wolford going from dummy half himself, almost got there, only a ball width away from the try line. Tongue gets the dummy half. He's got McFadden on the right-hand side. Finch is outside him. The kick charged down by Perry. Good hands from the front rower as well. They were in the queue, the Raiders, to the right-hand side. If the kick had got through from McFadden, they might have scored again, but now it's a vastly different story, and they've compounded it by giving away a penalty.
Here's the mark.
Well, I'm not quite sure how Mander got the Raiders players for being offside on that occasion. He didn't even look. Didn't even look to the left-hand side of the field. Obviously heard the boos. Guys were running back.
Morris taps it, and O'Brien takes it towards the Canberra line. Newcastle looking to hit the lead for the first time in the game. Here's Perry. Great hands from the front row to pick it up after the charge down. Rudder now. Short ball for Simpson, who's through again. Did he get across the line? Yes, he did. Mander wants a look.
Mate, just make sure he wasn't grounded before he actually got it down. That's right. I think he was rolling. That's exactly right.
No doubt that Steve Simpson was spinning as he got to the try line. May not be totally convinced of it himself. Looking at that that piece of vision of him, there he is. No doubt about the arm coming into contact. I think that's a second effort there. No doubt that his momentum was pretty much stopped, I feel, and he spun across of his own volition. I think this might be a double movement.
I think it's a try. I think that he continues to keep throwing his body and arms around with the football. I've got no problem with it.
Well, I'm going to go with you, Warren. I think it'd be classed as a double movement. I'm not that keen about being on your side, but I just do think it's a double movement.
In fact, if you watch, Simpson actually makes a movement where he gets the ball and hits his own shoulder before he actually gets the ball down. This one will show it clearly here. He tried to put it down there, hit his own shoulder, then spun the other way to put it down. I've got no doubts to double movement. Tough start for the video referee. Here's a decision. It's a try! Well, Laurie Daly, you're a good judge. Brett Kenny, you and I are bad judges. I'm not convinced about that by any sense. I tell you, I can't believe that decision.
I think he was still moving in the tackle, Warren. That's what Peter Filmer would have been looking for. There's been a real change to the double movement this year. And he kept continuing to move his body, and then he was able to place the ball over the line.
The Newcastle Knights, courtesy of that try by Simpson, he set one up. Now he scored one. It's 18 points to 14. I'd like to go down and ask Mal Meninga and Matthew Elliott what they thought of it. They might disagree with you, you former Canberra great.
I think we'd have to have a 7-second delay if you asked them what they thought of it.
It might be a 30-second delay.
I would have loved it to have been no try, but I think they got the right decision.
Interesting to note too that the Knights are attacking the left side defensive of the Raiders. They come up with a 4-pointer then. Earlier on in the first half, they made a break, which set up another try, all on that left-hand side defence.
I've no doubt if this game's decided by a close scoreline, we'll hear a lot more about that. And even if it isn't decided by a close scoreline, of course, things like that can turn the momentum in a game. Back-to-back tries by the Newcastle Knights. They now lead by 4.
Well, this is a big test now for the Canberra Raiders, Warren. They started the game off like a house on fire. Defensively, they were very strong with the ball. They were putting good plays on. They were moving the Knights around. They're 4 points down now with 10 minutes to go before half-time. They really haven't got much to play for other than their personal pride. And we'll see which players are doing that.
Shafovsky plays it after the Johns kick. Comes back to Manuel. Feeling you're exactly right, Laurie. Big 10 minutes coming up in this game for the Raiders. Wolfgram went a long way before he got to the Knights' defensive line. Finch comes to Rutchison. Very big game against the Bulldogs when they were struggling with injuries, and Sean Rutchison, who himself was injured in that game, had a huge game as the Raiders beat the Bulldogs 32-0 at the showground. He's back in the side today. Here is McFadden on the last tackle, putting a kick in. A pretty ordinary one. The dead ball line on the full. We mistimed that. The Knights will have it from their own 20.
Yeah, it was an ordinary kick there by Andy McFadden. Probably have too much time in the end. Try and place it where he wanted to. Come off the side of his boot, went dead. Just hands the ball back to this Newcastle side. The Newcastle side starting to look dangerous now. They're starting to go to their fringes a lot more, giving the likes of Gidley and McDougall the opportunity to go one-on-one against their centres.
Joel Monahan was up to the task on that occasion. He handled McDougall, but he doesn't have too many chances, McDougall. If he does, Monahan will really have his hands full. Great hands from Gidley away to Albert. They've slid well across this line. Canberra, O'Davis to Johns. He's got Kennedy kicking off the outside of the boot. Here's a chase. McDougall and Ryder coming. Shafovsky beat them to it and cleaned up just in the field of play. Manuel runs at Andrew Johns. They'll try and drive him back into the in goal. He went very close to doing so. Terry Martin. 3 tackles gone, and they're just 5 out from their own line. Good defensive set until this point by Newcastle. Great run from Rutchison. Didn't they need that? Wolford. So they go quickly to Adam Peters. He beats the first line as well, motoring his way over the top of Julian Bailey. Finch in the end, kicking from just inside his own 40. He did very well on those last 2 tackles. Albert fields it on the full. Runs into Wolford. Here's Bailey. Taken by Lawrence. Josh Perry. Runs at Faumuina. Seems to be floating between the second row and the centres in defence, of course. Made the miss on Simpson, which led to the Gidley try. Now Rudder. Going to Finch, they try and shoot him towards the touchline on this near side. Last tackle for Johns, chipping over the top this time. The full variety today. Finch did beautifully to get back there and put it back to Shafovsky. They've hung on again here, the Raiders. Defence, apart from a couple of small lapses, has been very good. Tongue. O'Brien off for the moment, replaced by another bench player in Paul Marquardt. To Rutchison. Stands in the tackle for a long time. Eventually they get him to ground. Plays it to Wolford. He'll kick from dummy half. Now Davis is up playing fairly shallow just behind the line. A great kick from Wolford. And Davis pick it up and bring it back almost 10 metres into the field of play. Manuel trying to go on with it a little bit in the tackle. Now McDougall. Ryder.
Well, you really sense, Warren, that Newcastle looking to get wide. I think they fancy their chances on McFadden out here on the left, especially Gidley. McFadden goes low. Gidley's got a great step and a great fend. I'm sure that he'd like to see more of the ball and go one-on-one with McFadden.
Here it is to Gidley through Rudder. Once again, McFadden, who's matching up on him, has handled him. And on the last tackle, it comes back to Johns once more. Looking for the touchline this time. It will probably skid over this western touchline. Well, no, it won't. It will stay in the field of play. Manuel forced to play at it. And they'll stop him. 10 out from the Canberra line. Once again, forced to do the hard work from deep inside their own territory. They've only got 6 minutes to hang on here until half-time. If they can get there trailing by just 4 points with this breeze at their backs, you would rate them a big chance in this game. McFadden turns it back for Finch. He's got support through Peters, who was set upon immediately by Rudder. Comes to Tongue. Gets a pass away to Martin. Wraps up there in the tackle of Peden. Now Finch, who will kick it from just outside his own 40. Just grabs it along the ground. Tago Davis a long time to get to it. And allows the Canberra chasers to get up there. Finch was there with Monahan. Keep doing the simple thing right at the moment.
Well, you mentioned doing the simple things right. I think the Raiders have come here with a good game plan this afternoon. They're not looking to try and do too much with the football. They're keeping it in nice and tight. They're just getting their completion rates up. They don't want to get into a game of football, touch football, with this Newcastle side. You get in a game of touch football with Newcastle, they will beat you every time. But the Raiders are trying to force the play on the Newcastle Knights, then they're trying to force some errors out of them.
And while the Raiders have got a simple game plan, I'm a little bit disappointed with their kicking game. We saw that last kick by Finch was a grubber along the ground. Really, it was a nothing kick. They're up against a very strong wind, and I think if they put the ball up in the air, it's going to swirl around against this southerly, and it's going to give themselves an opportunity to come up with the football.
Shafovsky did very nicely again off the McDougall chip over the top. No doubt he's been their player of the year. Terrific season at fullback. Martin. 15 short of the halfway line. He's put it down here. In fact, now they'll get the penalty. It came loose, and I thought he might have been trying to play the ball a little bit too quickly and had lost it of his own accord. Morris is in there. You can see, well, I think Morris might have been hardly done by. No doubt about it that Martin took the odds to it. Well, they've got away with one there. Lawrence taps it, gives it off to Peters. Chance in with 6 tackles in Newcastle territory. What can they build? DeVico takes it forward. Wolford find McFadden at first receiver. Finch on the outside there of Peden, but he was tackled well down low by Andrew Johns. McFadden again. Tongue cutting back on the inside. He bypasses him. It's a poor pass away to Peters, who cleaned it up. Put the head down, but they've wasted a tackle. 2 left in this set. Again they go left. Here's DeVico charging forward, trying to create some space. Shafovsky was at first receiver. Wolford ignores him. Grubbers in behind the line. was a poor option on the last tackle. The Newcastle Knights have put it down. And Tongue has dropped it over the line.
Right
Shouldn't
here,
that have been a penalty?
It's not where the man is. Okay? I am right there. No, it's not. Yeah, that's right. But he didn't. He didn't.
Here's the grubber from Wolford. Came to Morris. He lost it. May well have in fact come off another Newcastle Knight, and then Tongue picked it up, dropped it. The Raiders will get the ball back. 6 more tackles here with 2.5 left in the first half.
Julian, stay there.
Terrific chance to once again level it up or hit the lead. Finch taken by Rudder. See where they work it to and which side they play to. McFadden, Mander hits it up, back to the right-hand side. McFadden floats to the back line, looking for a play down the track as DeVico gives it back to Martin. He couldn't handle it. Monahan put it down. They've let the Newcastle Knights off the hook here. Headed building for a play on the left-hand side. Never got the chance as Margaret puts it through the hands to Johns. Davis going from dummy half. 1 minute 40 left. Important last minute and a bit. Here's Bailey. He beat the tackle of Faumuina again. Got it back to Albert. He'll be a handful. So will Gidley, who ran into the defence. There was nobody in front of him and he ran towards the defence. That could be a big, huge mistake. Johns will come to O'Davis. Away to Rudder. He stands in the tackle. They stop him 5 metres out. They give away a penalty. Up inside the 10. I don't believe what I saw from Matthew Gidley. Morris will take the quick tap. They want 6 points to finish the half. Here's Johns putting the head down and he'll get them. That was just too soft from the Raiders. A mistake at the other end of the field, deep on the attack, and then barely a minute later, Johns gets across the line himself.
Well, the Knights have really targeted Faumuina today. His technique's been very poor, going in high, just getting fended off. Then we thought Gidley was going to score. He stepped back into the Raiders player, Shafosky, great work. Then they gave away a penalty, which was the right thing to do, and again, Johns goes between DeVico and Wolford. You always know on a quick play the ball or a quick tap, Andrew Johns is going to run the football, especially when your defensive line is stretched. And that's exactly what they did. That'll hurt.
Well, he's a smart player, isn't he, Andrew Johns? He knew that he had two bigger men. Well, Wolford's not so much bigger than him, but DeVico on the outside of him, little step back inside the fend. He's a very strong player, Andrew Johns. Very tough to stop from there.
He converts his own try, and at half-time they will go to the sheds with the Knights leading the Raiders by a scoreline of 24 points to 14. It could have been so much better for the Raiders. And at the break, they will trail by 10. Tim Mander blows time back on. Andrew Johns with the kickoff into this gale. It is a pretty good kickoff as well. It makes it all the way down to the goal line where Shafosky fielded it.
Hold the mark here. Wait for it.
DeVico only just hung on to it, and then Andrew Johns puts a big hit on Alan Tongue. Here's DeVico again. Takes it outside the 20.
Hold it. Hold.
Finch at dummy half. Comes to Alan Tongue. 30 out from his own line. They'll kick early in the tackle count, although the pressure from Johns on Finch made him change his mind. He was going to kick, and then the halfback raced up to stop him. Here is Shafosky, charge down, play on. Shafosky can't get it, he bats it backwards. This will be play on.
Here. No, you knocked it on here. Clinton, you knocked it on here, mate. Okay, that was a charge down, not a knock on, and then Clinton's knocked it on there. Just waiting to see if there's any advantage.
They will need to tough it out, as Simon Wolford said. Here it is again. They were second tackle in a row, some pressure there. That was the knock on off the left hand or off the shoulder at the first occasion. Either way, Tim Mander's come up with the correct call there, and the Newcastle Knights get a great chance to put some pressure on this Raiders line.
They have, and it was very evident in that set of 6 that Michael Hayden told his team at half-time to put the pressure on the kickers. If they're coming out of the line, that'll allow the Raiders, if they've got players deep enough and wide enough to attack, maybe on 4th and 5th tackle, it might be an option later for them.
Rudder to push away from the DeVico tackle. Morris through the hands of Johns, goes behind McDougall. He'll clean up, tries to put the goose step on Monahan. Unable to do so. He's just outside the Raiders' 20s. The rain gets heavier, if you can believe that. Here's Ryder now. Going to stop him. Wolford there combining with Martin. Last tackle. Johns will go with a crossfield bomb. A real banana kick taken in the in goal. Under trying conditions, Odell Manuel did very well.
Well, that was a good kick by Andrew Johns. I think he would have liked it to have gone a little bit higher, but the idea was certainly right. They've got this howling wind against them with the rain. The ball will hold up and start to swirl around, but well taken by Manuel.
Tongue gives it to DeVico. Front rower did well. He pops it out the back, and Wolford is set upon. Hitting a heavy tackle by Perry. Didn't think too much of it either. Gets up and gives him a mouthful. Tongue. Oh, dropped the ball in the tackle of Marquardt, and knock on, says Tim Mander. The Raiders aren't happy about that. I feel it might have been raked out.
Well, it's been an ordinary start by the Raiders. The first 2 set of 6 they've lost the ball. They've had a kick charge down. Got to make sure that they just go forward. There looked to be some confusion around the dummy half. Just do what they were doing in the first half, carting the ball forward, and that will create opportunities for them.
McDougall almost on the outside of Monahan again. Stops his opponent. Now Ryder. He's just 15 metres out. The Knights looking to score first points in the second half. Marquardt 10 away from the Raiders line. Rudder as they go down the short side. A ball back on the inside for Peden. Still no way through this green line. Morris feeds it to Johns. Grubbering in behind them. O'Davis was chasing. It was forced there by Finch. And that will mean they'll restart it with a goal line dropout.
You nearly look to do a quick dropout here. The Knights are only on the 30-metre line. If they're thinking quickly, the Raiders should just really get into it straight away. Obviously, they've been under pressure. Just get it down there.
That's what they've done. Albert picks it up from the goal line dropout. He fielded it in his own side of halfway. And Marquardt taken down low by DeVico with Terry Martin over the top. Peden comes to Finch, who wraps him up. Again, they're just 15 out from this Canberra line. Johns turns it back on the inside for Perry. Runs straight. Terry Martin there, he was able to stop him without too much trouble. Johns now off that right foot, looking for the line for the 3rd time in the game, a hat-trick. He's unstoppable when he wants to be. That's 3. 28-14. We've had 5 minutes here in the second half.
Well, 3 tries to Joey Johns today, and he's run no further than 10 metres on each of the tries. Just a simple play, right foot step. DeVico's missed him a couple of times already today. I think he's even been involved in the 3 misses. Just too strong near the line, Joey Johns.
Well, you see him do this every game. Whenever they're 8-10 metres from the line, especially they get quick play of the ball, it's a little step up the right. As I mentioned before, he's very smart. He can see the big men. He knows if he's very elusive on his feet, he can step around these guys. That's exactly what he did there. And make things worse, he converts his own try.
From right in front, he's had a few of those today. Now, it's a scoreline that you might have thought we'd seen a little bit earlier in the game, 30 points to 14.
Well, I think that's been the frustrating thing about the Raiders playing the last month of football is they missed one-on-one opportunities. There's nothing fancy about what the Knights are doing when they're scoring their points. Lead up to the points, yes, they put on a few second-man plays, a few cut-out passes, and you expect your defensive line to be broken from that. Not when the bloke's just running the football near the line. It's just too easy.
Long kick off. O'Davis took it just inside the dead ball line. Now Perry puts it back to O'Davis. With this 16-point lead now, we'll see if the Knights can go on with it. Will they rack up a score against the Raiders? No sign of them losing heart, though, in this set of 6 in defence. Strong start from DeVico, who might have injured himself there in the tackle. Could have been penalised. He got a handful of the jumper there of Morris as he scampered away. Here's Peden. Almost got away from the Peters tackle. Keeps it alive with O'Davis. He finds Bailey. Puts it back to the halfway line. Johns. Short ball off the hip to O'Davis, pouring through a gap. He gets it to Alberts, who couldn't hang on to it.
Well, there was a missed opportunity. What a lovely ball from Andrew Johns. He read the short side. He had 3 attackers on 2 defenders. Wolfgram was in no man's land. He stuck with Albert. Albert in the end went on the outside of him, too quick for him. If he had caught that, it would have been a try. I think that Wolfgram's got to make a decision there. Don't give Albert too much room to move. Might be better off trying to jam in.
Stay in there, Lock.
Go for the intercept.
Stay.
The Raiders have it. Lawrence it is who will bring it away from inside their own 20. Of course, John's already with a hat-trick. Dougal last week equalled the club record of 4 tries in a game, which is held by Darren Albert also. John's plenty of time to get to that mark. Might even have 5 in mind. Kalala. The first try of the game inside the 62nd mark. Wolford again. Pressure on the Canberra kicker. Wolford got it away though, and Ryder will go back inside his own 10 to field it. Get another good chase from the Raiders. Straight line there, so they haven't dropped off in intensity. Here's McDougall. Forcing backwards. He'll play it to Johns. Gives it off to Bailey. Again, the Raiders there in numbers. Kennedy. They might trail by 16, but can't discount them. However, this breeze continues to blow as hard as it is from the south. They can get some good kicks away and force the Knights to do what they're doing now. Work it from inside their own pressure, and then they might get the odd mistake. You never know. Schafowski. An equally good chase team across the field from the Knights on this occasion. Manuel, away to Wolfgram. Last week in the second half, it was McFadden and Finch who combined so many occasions for the Raiders to open things up. DeVico has put it down here and gets the benefit of the doubt from Tim Mander and his officials. Now Finch this time. Once again, there was plenty of pressure from the Knights chasers. They've been up off the line pretty quickly, 3 or 4 occasions now. I'm sure Tim Mander will be keeping a close eye to see if they're getting a jump start. But Davis to Marquis. Perry runs at Wolford. It's helped out by DeVico and Martin. Johns, options to his left-hand side. McDougall is one of them, not a bad option. Once again, Monahan tackles him, but he gets a great ball away to Ryder. Manuel stops him just outside the Canberra 10. 2 more chances for the Knights in this set of 6. Rudder, they're running at speed now at them. Gidley. They slid across, he got it away to Bailey. McFadden is there now. Albert not past. Wolfgram will reach out and is held just short of the line. Last tackle, Gidley, heel grubber off the legs there of McFadden. I'll get back there to stop it. Michael Monahan on the field now, but he'll be forced in goal. Once again, we'll get a goal line dropout from the Raiders.
Well, the Raiders have had the wind in their back in this second half, and they have not used it very effectively at all. The kicking game in the second half, they haven't kicked the ball further than 30 metres. That, therefore, allows the Knights to get the ball back in good field position. And with this man controlling things, Andrew Johns, they are going to run second. They've really got to get their kicking game in order, force the Knights to work it off their own try line. and try and force them into making mistakes.
One thing I think they've got to do is position their kickers in better than what they have been, because they've just put themselves under too much pressure. The Knights have been able to get up off the line and put these kickers under a tremendous amount of pressure, so they've got to position them to maybe get a little bit further behind, directly behind the play the ball area.
Or maybe even look to run the ball on the 4th and 5th.
Morris gives it back for Marquis. Tackle down low made by DeVico just outside the Canberra 20. They withstood plenty of pressure in this second half despite giving up the try to Johns, who's now a dummy half. Fires a pass to Rudder across the face to Gidley. Finch is there to stop his progress this time. Last tackle, Bailey away to Johns. Grubbering again. O'Davis is the intended target. I don't know if he got there. He thinks he might have. Monahan was there. Mander says it was a try. O'Davis got there to put the ball down, and it's 34-14. See Johns, he tried it once before and O'Davis didn't get a clean shot at it, but no doubt there he beat Monahan to the ball. And he gives it the little joker dance as well. Johns isn't joking with the kicking today. Slots one over the black dot again from almost right in front. And what was an interesting game at halftime has suddenly developed into a bit of one-way traffic. 36 points to 14, just like that. It's 22 the difference.
Well, we saw the Knights do this against the Storm. The Storm were well and truly in the game at half-time, but the second half they just run rough shot over the Storm, and they're doing the same again here to the Raiders.
They look for a variation this time. They go high in the air from the kickoff. Davis was able to field it comfortably on his own goal line, and Perry brought it back out. Now Peter. Get in this sort of mood, they could easily rack up another half-century of points here this afternoon. Kennedy now. He juggled it and lost it. It comes to Monahan. So the Raiders will get their chance to hit back. They need one. They need plenty more to follow it. Rutchison showing it. It takes the tackle about 12 out from the Newcastle line. McFadden minus the headgear. Pass intended for O'Hara. He missed him, and Perry is there once again to dive on it. Been eager to clean up today, Perry. Charge down and clean up in the first half, and then some good work on that occasion. Johns getting to dummy half a lot now. Orchestrating things from the play the ball. Bailey standing in the tackle. Doubled over backwards. Clutched at a knee there as he went down as well. Might not be all that good as Parsons is back out there, and he offloads to O'Davis. Look out, here they come again. Rudder. They wrap him up only just. Joel Monahan got to him. They go left again. Johns to McDougall. Pouring into a gap. Here's Johns. Chipping over the top. O'Davis will beat them to it. Did he get it down, or was he even onside? Tim Mander will take a look at all options.
I'm happy with everything. Just see whether we got it down before or on the line.
That is one of the questions. He might have also been either just behind or equal with or just in front of Johns when he got the kick in as well. But they are really cutting them to ribbons at the moment.
I tend to think that the ball beat everyone across the line. I don't think he got there in time. Borderline there as far as being onside or offside.
Probably okay. It's the second look. Here's the put down, obscured by Tim Mander. It's a very close run thing with the dead ball line. Contact there. Well, he put it down with his left hand on the line at the same time. Or was it just after it? He might have just got this down, you know.
I'd hate to do this, but I'm going to agree with you again. That's twice in one day. I think it could be a try. Over to you, Laurie.
Could be a red letter day as well. Here it is, the ball down. No contact with the line until after the contact with the ball.
That's a try.
3 green letters. TRY, they'll say. There it is, a try, says Peter Filmer. And it's 40 points to 14 now. The girls are dancing. The Knights are dancing through holes on the field, almost at will now. Andrew Johns will have one of his hardest attempts at conversion of the game. Lovely ball just to put McDougall through half a gap, and then the presence of mind to Noah Davis, as ever, was trailing through, and he got there just in the nick of time. Second try today, fourth of the season. A career halted by suspension and also injuries over the last 3 or 4 seasons. What a player he is. What a player this man is. 6 of 6 today. Most of them from pretty close range, and as I said, this one about his hardest of the day. You'd back him in though with anybody's money, especially your own. 7 of 7 he's kicked, and it's 42 points to 14. Of course, last week against the Warriors, the full-time siren sounded, he kicked one, a conversion from 10 metres out, piloted it across. He might try that one again today. The biggest win against Canberra for the Knights, 30 points. Came last year here in Marathon. They're almost up to that sort of margin now. 28 is the difference. There's still plenty of time on the clock. Parsons will play it for the Knights as Morris. What a day to have your 21st birthday. You're out there playing alongside Andrew Johns, and you're in front of the visitors by a good margin, in front of the home fans. Simpson has put it down. The Raiders will get a chance here, try and put some points on the board of their own, but at this stage it would appear to be a little bit too late for them. Once again here, what a day we've had. The sun is out, can you believe? It was torrential 10 minutes ago, wasn't it?
Bind with Julian, mate. No, you've got to bind with him.
Amazing weather we're having at the moment.
Let's just get it in.
Are we in Newcastle or Melbourne?
The only constant has been the points in the second half from the Knights, and the breeze blowing from the south. Shafovsky was almost through the gap from the scrum. McFadden going quickly from dummy half. Just 5 metres out as they stop him, right in front of the post. Wolford to go to the right-hand side. He finds Michael Monaghan. To spin out of the tackle there, but O'Davis and Johns combining in every way at the moment. Martin turns it back, comes to Lawrence. Simple stuff from the Raiders in this set of 6. Here's Wolford. Short ball for O'Hara, that'll do. Just barge away across the line. From close range, the front rower has scored for the Raiders. It's 42 points to 18 now.
Well, they're trying the Raiders, and that was their first set of 6 in the opposition half in this second half. Wolford just getting out of dummy half. O'Hara running hard and straight. And that's a good try. We'll take the Raiders, put them on 20 points, still 22 behind.
Well, I know Andrew Johns was questioning the referee as far as the play of the ball was concerned. I think he felt that the Raiders player didn't actually lost the ball. It's very hard to stop that close out. It was a set play, a set piece, and obviously the Knights will be a little bit disappointed. They didn't muscle up too much there in that set of 6, and I guess when you look at the scoreline, they've probably relaxed a little, and after having that try scored against them, I think we'll see them pick up a bit.
Well, the competition's so close. I think that all these points that the opposition team score against the sides in the top 8 are going to be very important. I think it'll come down to for and against. I think Andrew Johns might have been blowing up, saying to his team, listen, while we might have this game won, every point that's scored against us will count in the end. We want to try and finish up on the competition table as far as we possibly can, maybe finish in second spot. Let's not give up too many easy points.
The big score lines continue in this 2001 season of limited interchange. 62 points we've had here. We're going at better than a point a minute, and once again the side on the losing end of it has scored 20 points or more. It's almost a golden rule that if you scored 20 just a couple of seasons ago, you're almost guaranteed a victory. Now that has turned around. Wolford comes to McFadden, kicking from inside his own 40. Davis well aware that they were looking for a 40-20. Didn't muck around getting to it on the full. Plenty of changes left for the Knights. 4 left for the Raiders. Albert, break 3. Here's Simpson. Almost back to the halfway line as Morris goes from dummy half, shows it, Boston in the tackle. They forced it loose, good work from both Tongue and Wolford. Rutchison. McFadden gives it to Martin with the contact. Normally the players would be drowned out by a 20,000 odd crowd here at Marathon, but today they might have touched perhaps 10,000 as there's a fair bit of work going on the play the ball there. Here's O'Hara floating backwards, and now it's Shafosky who has it. He'll play it just inside the Newcastle 40. Rutchison again. Just simple stuff from the Raiders. Floating across field. The front row are taking it up. Last tackle, McFadden. He'll put it high in the air. Finch is there, as is Wolfgram, but Albert got some good shepherding from Gidley. Finch couldn't get there to put any sort of pressure on him. The winger took it very easily in the end. Now they spread it from inside their own 20. Peterson will give it back to Gidley. Comes back to the right-hand side. Morris steps off his right-hand foot. Parsons up over the 40. O'Brien once again with the second phase play. He took the tackle. Now Johns with Rudd up. He's got Simpson outside him. This time a good tackle down low by Lawrence. Stops him. They'll play it there after 5. Johns in down the short side. Another spiralling kick which floats away from them. Taken well by Michael Monaghan in the end. The Raiders get a penalty. Kennedy with the hands in the play the ball there. Just holding down Monaghan as he tried to get back to his feet to play it. Finch almost using Mander as a shepherd there as he took it up to the Newcastle line. Here's Rutchison. Again, cutting it up. He's putting his hand up, this replacement forward. McFadden. Back on the inside, he had O'Hara, who was in a great tackle by Clinton O'Brien. Stopped him cold in his tracks and forced the ball loose at the same time. Kennedy. A little bit quiet this afternoon, has Kennedy. This man hasn't been. Great shoulder tackle. On the midriff there of O'Hara. Fadden has been dazed perhaps, contacting the tackle there with Morris, was it? Here's Simpson keeping it alive. Davis now floats a pass across field to Peterson. He gets to Monaghan, who stops him. McDougall running across field himself, almost got away from Wolford, still going. He's just 30 out. Morris will give it to Johns with space to work in now. Gidley on the outside. Finch stops him. In fact, he puts it down. Gidley comes to Finch, who gives it off to Shafosky. He won't be able to pace Albert though as he runs across field.
You got a bad injury, fellas. That's 0 tackle.
Now, Tim Mander blows time off as Andrew McFadden is carried from the field. As he said, he's got a bad injury. He was dazed to the tackle. He bounced away from John Morris very awkwardly. Here it is again. He's got his head in the wrong position. He fell out of it. He was just laying motionless almost back downfield as that play continued on towards the Canberra line. They'll take him directly to the Canberra dressing room. Bad side that. Now Rutchison. Once again.
He's been one of their best today, Rutchison. He has been out for about 5-6 weeks, Warren, with a knee problem as they go for a 40-20 kick, the Raiders. And what a kick that was.
They get it well inside the 20, in fact, inside the 10. their few successes in this second half. You can see where Monahan kicked it from. 35 out from his own line. Cleared the line inside the Newcastle 10, skidding across this very wet field.
It was a great kick, but that was what let the Raiders down in that first 15-minute period after half-time. The kicking game, they couldn't get any further than 30 metres. They had a guard behind their back. They couldn't put any pressure on the Knights. The Knights were trying to force the ball over from the Raiders.
Falmawina tries to put the step on as he gets to within 10 of the Newcastle line. Finch comes to O'Hara. Wolford pointing to the right-hand side. That's where he goes. Now Monahan cuts back in behind the ruck. He'll assume the halfback duties now with McFadden off the field. Mousetrap play. Wolford leaves it for Shafosky. Almost turns Parsons inside out. And here's O'Hara looking for his second in this half. Monahan at first receiver on this left-hand side. Cut out ball. Lovely hands from Wolfgram. But Tim Mander is going to pull it back for a forward pass. Not so sure it was.
I'd like to see that again on replay. Tim Mander, he got no doubts. We see Monahan running the football. Lovely ball. It come off Lawrence. I'm sure the ball would have went forward off Jared Lawrence. And Wolfgram picked it up to go over, but unfortunately it did go forward.
That's the reason.
Stay
More the knock-on, the forward pass if you like. More of a knock-on from Lawrence. So the Newcastle Knights have it. Just inside their own 20. They lead by 22. Peden keep it alive with Gidley. He gives it to Johns. Away to Albert, runs away from Wolfgram, runs away from everybody in fact. It comes back to Gidley. Wolfgram comes again to stop him. They've picked up 50 metres in one tackle. Morris now. He's got Rudder outside him. Comes back to this right-hand side where the Knights had numbers. And Davis will play it. Back to O'Brien. Again to Johns. Showing it one way. A ball to Gidley. They just work the spaces so well. And Albert is too quick for Shafosky. How simple it was. But it's just a matter of creating space. And nobody does it better than Andrew Johns.
You mentioned creating space. All the space was created by the players in the lead-up. All Johns did, he had the vision. He had the vision down the short side. They've had it a number of times this afternoon. Just an easy 3-on-2. Andrew Johns will carve you up all day. You see Johns get the ball. Actually, it's 4-on-2. And then it was just simple play. And then Albert, too quick for Shafosky.
Well, they're a very skillful side, the Newcastle Knights, and in these conditions today, we've had all 4 seasons. It's been very windy, a lot of blinding rain, and yet there's still a side that's prepared to throw the football around. And a lot of these guys have picked up some unbelievable balls. They've done a marvellous job here today, and I think that try there was just testimony to how skillful this side is.
Johns again, he's racking up something of a personal tally here. 8 goals and 3 tries is his own tally now in this game. 28 points. He is just remarkable. What a difference he's made to this side since coming back. I know we keep saying it, but it's just chalk and cheese.
And the thing about it today, Warren, is he's just injected himself at the right times. He hasn't been the dominant player for the whole 80 minutes. He's just picked his times, and when he's dominant, he's scoring tries, he's creating tries. That's the remarkable thing about him as a player. Every time he touches the football, something is happening.
I think the big thing about him is he gives the players around him a lot of confidence. He sets up all their plays, he puts guys through gaps. He makes their job easy. They gain confidence because they're not making any mistakes. And of course then they're able to go on and play their natural game.
Bailey will play it. Here's Simpson. Angling off that right-hand side. He'll play it back to Morris. He gives it off to Parsons. Comes back again to Simpson. Just held in the tackle there by Martin. Again, they come down the blind side with Johns just holding them off and slipping balls at the same time. Gidley and Albert were poised for action once again. Here is Gidley, kicking it with the left boot. A talented lot. Here's Shafovsky. A high ball on the chest. And they'll tackle Manuel there on the Canberra 20. Once again, bright sunshine breaking through here at Marathon. Hutchison.
Bring it over. Mark it square.
Mander turning it back for Wolfram. He ran into Parsons and Simpson. Not to think of the two worst players on the field. Certainly there aren't two taller players on the field. Wolfram stopped in a hurry. Ryder pick up this kick just inside his own 10. Another good chase from the Raiders. You can't fault their kick chase today. It has been good. Just been outplayed at times. Here's Albert.
Well, I think they've been outplayed. I'll go as far as to say if Andrew Johns didn't play today, the Raiders would have been a very good chance of winning this game. Every time he's injected himself into this game, he's created opportunities. Without him, the Knights haven't looked as dangerous. They certainly lack
Okay, let's get the formation
go forward.
Don't get lazy
When he
here.
wasn't here,
Ben, make sure you're behind there.
you see a club record, most points in a game, 29. He's got 28 points today.
Stay there,
And he
Ben.
needs one
Stay
more
there.
point. Maybe the message might go out. If he gets a chance, if they don't score a try, if they get a penalty, maybe go for the 2 points. But he has just been fantastic today. Just provides so much for the Newcastle team. His kicking game, they certainly lacked in that area when he was out.
The Raiders through Wolfen now. Comes to O'Hara. He's just 8 metres away from the line. Finch. Monahan. Gidley and Johns are there to stop him. Here's Finch again at first receiver. Grubbering this time. O'Hara was there. Simpson was also. He cleans up. The man I'm sure Finch was hoping that would be off his shoulder to chase through a short grubber close to the Newcastle line. Ryder. Very taken by Ryan O'Hara, the help of Hutchison. Here's Morris. O'Hara was never back to 10. He wasn't at marker. He wasn't back in the defensive line for the Raiders. They take the quick tap. Morris gives it to Johns. Here's Gidley. He'll put the step on between Finch there and also Wolfgram. Johns again at dummy half. Harker will play it. That's Rudder with Kennedy wrapping around the back of Bailey there. The right arm free. He takes the tackle just inside the Canberra 20. Back to Rudder again. He bypasses O'Davis to loop a pass to Johns. Back on the inside for Morris, the 21st birthday boy, looking for 4 points of his own. Can't get it on that occasion. Here's O'Davis. He comes to the right where Johns is. He won't grubber. He'll look for the line for the 4th try of the game. I think he's got it. He has. And he breaks his own club record for most points in a single game for the Newcastle Knights.
Well, Brett Kenny and myself were sitting up here knowing that he was going to run the football, and the Raiders just were pointing and watching on the try line. They line up 3 on 3. They're pointing. Johns, he just steps through and again, terrible misses. That's what's let them down, their defence on their line, but Johns just right foot step going over the line, too strong. Shafovsky, he's disappointed in his teammates.
Well, you just can't do that as a halfback. You can't score 4 tries in a game. It's just not possible. This man is an absolute genius, and as Laurie said, we could see he was going to run from up here. The trouble is that the Raiders forwards too busy pointing at each other.
Well, here he is looking for his 9th goal of the game. This would also equal his own personal record. Most goals in a game for the Knights. It's been a not so rare day for him. Happens so frequently. What a kick, it curves back just inside the right hand upright to rub a little bit of salt and a dash of pepper as well into the wounds of the Canberra Raiders. 54 points to 20. 34 points now to Andrew Johns. Look at this, he judged the wind to perfection.
The thing about it too, Warren, is that you know Andrew Johns has been out, he was out for something like 10 weeks. He's only been back, I think, for 3. We've got, another 5 weeks before the final series starts, and he'll be back to his, well, you'd probably say he's back to his best, but geez, you know, he's just starting to enjoy his football now. As I said, he's been out for a while, and that's a big bonus for the Newcastle side, because while he's enjoying the football, the team's going to enjoy it as well.
Here's Perry. Slow play the ball. Johns will be looking for 5 here. There's no betting on that. Here he is. It's a pass to Kennedy. Comes to Marklet. 40 out from their own line. And here he is. Fires the pass back to the far side to McDougall, and he raced right across there as well to back him up in case the ball came back to him. Well, it did, but now he fires it backwards himself. Davis will get back there to clean up for the Knights. They lost 20 metres. The tackle isn't over that yet, though. I reckon he's not looking for 5. Did you see him track across field after he threw that pass?
Oh, he'd be tracking all right, Warren. He's looking for 5. As we see Gidley putting the chip kick over to Albert. Unfortunately there for the Knights. The thing about the Newcastle side is you can never relax. They've got so many wonderfully attacking players. And he sets it up so well for himself, Andrew Johns. He's got a wide passing game, which allows the Newcastle side to stand deep and wide in attack. Therefore, the defensive line really has to worry about the likes of McDougall and Gidley. And then when they start to spread in the defensive line, in comes Andrew Johns.
Get the hand in there, Josh.
He'll run the football.
Let's go, let's advance the mark.
And he's running in between big spaces, which the forwards are then creating. The forwards are standing next to one another. They've done plenty of work. When a guy of this ability runs the football,
Up, one, stand up.
it looks easy, but I know it's not.
Monahan to Faumuina. Afternoon, he'd like to forget a talented player. He's had a couple of moments today. So is Kallela, who gets his second try of the game. Strong work from the second rower. 54 points to 24 now. Can somebody run down the newsagent and buy some more batteries for the calculator?
Well, it's just been one of those seasons, and this game is certainly a trend of the season. Plenty of points being scored from both sides. Faumuina just playing the ball. Kallela, very strong and powerful runner, just pushes Billy Peaton out of the road to score, to try and get some respect back into this game for the Raiders. There's only a minute and a half to go. I'm sure they'd be disappointed with their second half performance. They've tried hard, but they have come up against Andrew Johns and the Newcastle Knights. And when Johns is in this rare form, I don't know who's going to stop the Newcastle side.
This will just about do it. Time Shafosky gets back, lines this up and kicks it. Full-time siren. Won't be too far away from sounding. What a day. Shafosky has kicked 4 from 4 today. Johns has tied a club record for goals kicked in one game. And it's blowing something like 40 knots from the south. Very fair performance from both of them. just to reduce the margin inside 30 points, and he's done so. So at least they haven't tied their own record for the biggest loss to the Newcastle Knights, which was 30 points coming into this game. It's a dejected Canberra bench. They trail 54 points to 26. There's 15 to 14 seconds away from 80 minutes, and we've had 80 points scored. The kick out on the full from the restart. Well, Johns was still looking for try number 5. He wanted the ball back from the kickoff. Whatever happens here, this will round it out. Simon Wolford, he finds the touchline. They'll tap it as the siren will sound, and this will be the last play of the game. Shafovsky, at first receiver, will look for the bomb. It's a deep one. O'Davis will take it in the in goal, and that will do it. The Newcastle Knights make it 4 on the trot, and Andrew Johns-led team have beaten the Canberra Raiders 54 points to 26 here at Marathon.
But today, the Knights, Andrew John led the team superbly. The Raiders, they tried hard, just didn't have the quality of play that the Newcastle team have got. Got plenty of injuries, the Raiders. But this man, Joey Johns, the man of the moment. 4 tries, club record for point scoring. He's in rare form. I thought their forwards were starting to do the job for Newcastle. In the second half, they needed to cut the ball forward, especially into this strong wind. They did that. They put a lot of pressure on the Raiders' kicking game, especially in that second half. The first 15 minutes after half-time, the Raiders couldn't get out of their own territory. The kicks were getting charged down. They were putting plenty of pressure on their kickers. They certainly struggled. I suppose it's a learning experience for this young Canberra Raiders outfit. They will be a better team next year. And I know that they'll be very disappointed with today's performance.
There are smiles all round in those blue and red jumpers. Why wouldn't there be? Depending on what happens this afternoon between the Storm and the Broncos down there at Colonial, the Knights might well find themselves up into second spot. That would give them home field advantage all the way through the playoffs. Well, the man of the moment is standing by, and so is Brett Kenny.
Yeah, with me, the 4-try hero, Andrew Johns. Joey, it must be amazing to be able to score 4 tries. Coming out here today, not expecting to do anything like that.
Oh, mate, I woke up this morning, it was really wet, and it's not really the back sort of game, but I think if you added up the metres I ran for those tries, they add up to about 10 metres, so they're all close range, so no, it's good. Unfortunately, the score ballooned a bit, but it's just the way it is these days with 10 metres and the athletes who play the game.
Hey, you mentioned the conditions. It's an amazing side, the Knights. I mean, you've got a lot of very skillful players. Obviously, you work a lot on the skills of the game at training because the conditions, they weren't conducive to throwing the football around. You guys just kept throwing it around and the ball stuck. Yeah,
we played well. I thought earlier we tried to do too much before, without laying the foundations, and I thought we lost control, the ball control early, and they really dominated us around the ruck, and we struggled. But once we got now out of the way we play and started to run some angles and some second phase, our skill level come out and put a few points on.
And of course, 4 tries. I mean, the 4th one was just something that we couldn't believe. We knew you had 3, but when you've come up with that 4th one, it was just amazing.
Yeah, I thought I dropped it actually. I was waiting for him to go to the video ref. So it's you don't sort of set goals and score forwards. Just sort of lucky to be in the area to score them, but I'll take them.
Because you had 8 goals, the last one was probably the hardest kick you had, so you're able to put that across even against the wind.
Yeah, it's a bit lucky actually. I didn't hit it real well, but the wind brought it in, so very happy. I don't think I missed one today, so that's the pleasing part.
All right, well, great game today. Congratulations to the Knights.
Thanks, Bert.
Thanks, Joey. Also have with me the birthday boy, John Morris, 21 today, and John, it must have been a great birthday present to play outside with this guy, Joey Johns.
It was, Brett. It's a dream of mine to play, not only to start in first grade here at the Knights, but to play outside Andrew has sort of been a childhood dream, and to achieve it on my birthday, 21st birthday today, obviously a dream come true for me.
Obviously it would have been nice to come up with a try, but you played very well. Obviously, I had a lot of guys, there's a lot of experience in this club, and they probably spoke to you all during the week about what to prepare for and what to expect.
Yeah, that's right. Joey, has been unbelievable. Ben Kennedy, Billy Peden, they've helped me out a lot. during the game, you know, they pointed me around the park, and yeah, I've really got to thank those guys for making this day for me a lot easier.
Well, it was a great debut, and I think most Newcastle supporters will expect you to see you there again next week. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Brett.
Thanks, John.
He played well, John Morris, in a big win for the Knights over the Raiders, 54 points to 26. We'll take a break and wrap it all up right after this. Full time here at Marathon Stadium. The Newcastle Knights have beaten the Canberra Raiders by a very big scoreline. I thought we might have had a game in the second half with the Raiders having the breeze at their backs in the second half, but it didn't turn out that way.
No, it didn't turn out that way. They were 10 points behind at half-time. You did mention the breeze in the back. It was a very big win. But they tried hard, the Raiders, but in the end, the class of Andrew Johns was just too much. He's in rare form. He's one of the best players that I've seen in a long time, and if he keeps his form up, I'm sure that the Newcastle Knights will go a long way in this competition.
Let's take a look at all those second half highlights. And it started with Andrew Johns commencing the scoring for us after 5 minutes of the second half. He picked up a hat-trick here, but he had more to come.
He did have more to come. It was just good work by Johns. He mentioned after the game that he didn't run too far to score all his tries. This time it was just a grubber through for Robbie O'Davis. Robbie O'Davis got there in time. They've got a great combination, O'Davis and Johns. They just know what spot they've got to be in. You can see O'Davis very happy scoring that try. He likes to celebrate his tries, and he did just that.
He laid on one there with a grabber. The next one for O'Davis, he laid on with a little chip as they worked it down the left-hand side. He got a ball away to McDougall, got the return pass, and then watch this again. Just a little left foot kick this time, and O'Davis won the race to the ball.
Well, he's got it all. That's not the first, and it's not the last time you'll see Andrew Johns produce that type of kick. He's tremendously skilled. Left foot kick that time. O'Davis backing up. Great support player. This try was pretty easy for the Raiders. Ryan O'Hara just charging onto a Simon Wolford pass. Joey Johns was blowing up there after that try was scored. He realised that the more points that teams run up against his side in this run to the finals, it could play a part in deciding where they finish on the competition ladder.
That's exactly right. Darren Albert here, good evasive skills to get away from a couple of players, including a clutching Clinton Shafovsky just in front of the line. And of course, we said Andrew Johns had more to come. Well, he had a club record to break and also tie a club record as far as most goals in a single game, which he did tie with 9. But, well, he finished it off in fine style. If you're going to break a club record, you break it with your 4th try of the game.
Well, it was just a great effort by Andrew Johns to get 4 points. The disappointing part of it for the Raiders was that they were only close to the line. They would have worked on that all week. That Johns would have run the ball. He likes to step off his right foot, but they just didn't handle him. But that shows what a wonderful player he is. Then we see this kick. He said he didn't hit it so well, but I disagree. I think he knew that ball was going to curve back over the post in the end.
34 points. What about it? 4 tries and 9 goals. An amazing tally to break his own club record, which stood previously at 29 points. Let's take a look at the score summary, and I'm sure we're going to see the name Andrew Johns feature heavily. There it is, 4 tries. O'Davis scored 2 as well. Gidley, Simpson and Albert all crossed. Johns kicked those 9 goals, equaling his own club record. And for the Canberra Raiders, Kallela scored 2 tries. McFadden and O'Hara also crossed, and Shafosky kicked 5 goals himself. 14 goals on a day where there has been a strong southerly blowing all weekend, as has happened all weekend as well. Before we do go, though, one moment to take a look at as far as the Newcastle Knights, which might cause them some concern. This moment early on in the second half, where Adam McDougall, he raised that left knee there as Anthony Kallela came towards him, and he went to the ground clutching a sternum there. And, well, of course, Adam McDougall has already spent time on the sidelines this year as far as being suspended for a similar incident. That one might be looked at by the league.
Well, I'm sure it will be looked at by the league. It was a nasty incident. Kallela actually left the field straight after that. He was complaining, and the players were complaining of a raised knee. I think McDougall might be in some trouble. He's had trouble in the past, and that didn't look good.
Let's take a look at what else is coming up as far as rugby league to round out round 21 here on Fox Sports. You'll see the Parramatta Eels and Jason Taylor breaking that all-time point-scoring record of Daryl Halligan's at Parramatta Stadium up against the North Queensland Cowboys, and that game coming your way at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox Sports 2. Following that, the Melbourne Storm in action against the Brisbane Broncos. And if the Storm win that game, then the Newcastle Knights will move into second position on for and against. That game coming up at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, also here on Fox Sports 2. That wraps things up for Marathon. I'm Warren Smith on behalf of Laurie Daly, Brett Kenny and all the crew. Thanks for joining us. And until we see you next time, it's goodbye from Newcastle.
This has been a Fox Sports production for the National Rugby League Partnership. The NRL was proudly brought to you by Harvey Norman and Nissan. Rugby League is back, and NRL on Optus is your new channel, totally committed to bringing you the most comprehensive coverage of Rugby League ever. Along with replays of classic matches and selected live games, NRL on Optus will bring you full coverage of every round. Throughout the season, you'll see every hit up, every tackle, every try, every weekend.
Well, that should be the match winner. Get him! The big dive!
NRL on Optus, total Rugby League.